Welcome to Eagan Votes 2016, post-election coverage of the local races and more. Hello, I'm Tom Garrison. In this special report, we will hear from the winning Eagan City Council candidates. Take a look at what Eagan voters at the polls in this presidential election year said was important to them. And we'll review how Eagan voted overall. We'll also explore the impact of early voting. But clearly the biggest news of the 2016 race was the election of Donald Trump as the nation's 45th president. A result that confounded experts, brought high turnout from both sides, and led to a tight result not known until the wee hours of Wednesday morning. In fact, the New York Times described it as a Dewey defeats Truman lesson for the digital age. Of course, as we know, Truman actually defeated Dewey in 1948, despite what the Chicago Tribune reported. Well, how did Eagan vote in the 2016 presidential race? Let's take a look. Hillary Clinton got 20,611 votes in Eagan to Trump's 13,968. Libertarian Gary Johnson received 1,745 votes, and the Green Party's Jill Stein received 507. Of those four candidates, that works out to about 56% for Clinton and 38% for Trump. Hillary Clinton carried all 20 precincts here. In fact, in presidential races, Eagan has voted Democratic in every presidential race going back to 1996, when Bob Dole, Bill Clinton, and Ross Perot squared off. The closest was in the year 2000. Bush Cheney and Gore Lieberman each had just over 47% of the vote. In Minnesota, 2016 was the first year for both early voting and for no-excuse absentee voting. About 1/4, or approximately 11,000 of Eagan's registered voters chose to do that. What were the issues, though, that were important to them? Was there any difference in how early voters looked at things versus the day of the election voters? In a non-scientific sampling, here's what early voters told us.
I was trying to think of how we're going to go forward as a nation, and not every candidate is perfect for sure, but thinking ahead for the future and thinking about the small steps that we need to take to be better as a nation was something that I was really thinking about when I cast my vote.
Well, I'm thinking about employment and the state of our economy. And I'm also thinking about the potential for how we might be taxed and how businesses may be taxed. So I'd say the economy is my biggest concern.
Nothing really specific. I'm a conscientious voter, and I believe what I believe. So I've got my candidates, and just want to make sure my vote is counted.
And one of the main reasons that I voted is that there are a lot of negative information about, what the immigrants contribute to the society. I know this country was built on immigration, and the people who built this country are originally, everybody's from somewhere. And I wanted to make sure that that's heard by all the candidates who are running.
Okay, were there any indications among Election Day voters of the Trump tsunami? My photographer and I noticed several residents whose off-microphone comments would lead one to think that they were leaning Trump's way declined to speak with ETV. Those who did comment to us, this time at the Cedar School precinct and at Thomas Becket, had this to say.
It's probably the most important election since I've been able to vote. With what one candidate's saying and then the other candidate's saying, and they're fighting constantly, I'm just ready to be over with and move on and actually get maybe something done in the country.
Try and work with both sides. Easier said than done, probably unlikely, but I think there's a better chance with one candidate on the right side of that happening. I think on the other side of the aisle, it's just not. It's just going to be, here's what we're doing, deal with it. And that kind of pushed me over the edge.
Who do you think would not compromise or deal with the other side?
Well, I don't think Hillary would have any interest in that.
Compromise?
In any shape, no. Yeah, I think Trump will make deals if able to, and at least make the effort.
Well, to be blatantly honest, I don't want Donald Trump to be our president. I don't think he has a respectful demeanor towards other people. especially immigration, women's rights, women's issues. I don't think he represents the country, as well as other candidates do. So I voted just so he wouldn't get in office.
Actually, it was a little hard for me to decide which ones, because it was not easy, because I think this time is very important because the security for the country is very important.
Well, I think we need some changes. I think the moral fiber of the country is getting a little iffy.
What were some of the most important issues for you in coming out?
Pro-life and my Second Amendment rights.
Insurance is getting worse and benefits are getting worse for people, and it's harder to get health care.
I believe we should have someone who is qualified for the job, who listens to the people, who knows what they're doing, won't embarrass our country.
Someone needs to focus on how do you create jobs in America? How do you bring the jobs back? They might not come back 100%, but in terms of bringing the jobs out that will make people to pay their own fair share of taxes, rebuild our infrastructure. Some of these things did not get the priority they deserve during the debates, and when people are discussing it, everybody is all talking about the inconsequential things.
The reason I was really intrigued in coming out and voting today was definitely for the Supreme Court and how that's going to shape out, because that's going to outlive all of us. So times are changing, but I definitely think that the country needs to get back to the red, white, blue.
What people don't understand is, Abraham Lincoln's the guy who started this Republican Party and, in freeing the slaves. And where has that party gone from here? They've got, just all these white supremacist groups, supporting them. And I think it's enough. Enough is enough.
Good luck for the new president. We will support any of them. They will become a president. We will support him or we will support her.
Now, in the Eagan City Council local election, there were two incumbents up against two challengers. Incumbent Cindy Fields was the top vote getter with 15,208 votes. Incumbent Meg Tilley also was reelected with 14,704. With me now to discuss her new four-year term is current incumbent, Councilmember Cindy Fields. Congratulations on your victory last night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You were the top vote getter. What do you attribute that to?
Well, a honest and hardworking campaign, meeting people and getting out there and hearing what the residents of Eagan wanted.
And how does that suggest to you, in terms of a new term, any priorities that you want to work on, either that you heard from people or that are particularly important from you?
Well, what's overall the most important is, and what I heard is the excitement of the Vikings coming to Eagan and the Northeast Eagan development, that we have yet to really figure out what we're going to do there. And so that is probably one of my main goals, is to make sure that we do a smart development out there. Another thing is just being engaged with our Eagan Forward groups. I did hear a lot from people that they weren't quite sure what to think of it, and so I think now to get more, as councils, get more engaged in that process and try and get rid of some of the animosities that had come from them. They, for whatever reason, they felt that the council should have been more involved, even though as a council we decided that we wanted to leave it to the people. And so I think now we need to come and regroup and decide where we're going to go.
One gets the sense from looking at the results overall that people were content with the job that the current council is doing. Was that your
yes.
takeaway?
Yeah, everybody, we work really well as a group. We bring a lot of different ideas to the table, and we do it respectfully. And so I think people realize that, and that's why we have such a good council.
Is that interesting to you on a night that, while certainly other local incumbents won in some of the state house and senate races, nationally obviously it was throw people out. How do you contrast that?
I think it's so different on a local level. I mean, I think in a local level and local council members, we're out there with the people on a daily basis. We don't run and hide. And we're approachable and we're easy to contact. So if somebody wanted to talk to us, you know, our phone numbers are right on the web. So, you know, I think that's the big difference.
Anything else that I haven't asked you that you particularly wanted to say? It was a late night for everybody.
It was a late night, and I just would like to thank the citizens of Eagan for allowing me to serve them for another 4 years, and also to thank Dave Meyer and Mike Sapina for running an honest and wonderful campaign. I mean, that's the beauty of running a campaign. You get to meet some great people, hear some great ideas from them, and you know, I wish them the best.
The other winner election night was also a longtime City Council member, Councilmember Meg Tilley. She joins me now. Welcome, Meg, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate this time that ETV is providing so people can get to know us a little bit better, in which they never get a chance to, so this is good.
To what do you attribute your victory?
My victory is, if I look back through the history of being in Eagan, I have probably knocked every door in Eagan 3 times, but that's other elections. But I would say hard work, staying on message, being out there visible, going to things, talking to people, and listening to people.
You've been a City Council member for, since 2000.
Right, that's 16 years, and this will be my 5th term.
As you go into a new term, what are your priorities? Are there some initiatives that you'd like to focus on?
Right, I see Eagan is changing. We're an aging community, which we don't necessarily want to be, but we are. Transportation is an issue, and housing is an issue. Housing, by that I mean workforce housing, young family housing, and senior housing. We're really working hard on getting all those things done. As far as housing, I think we need to stay very clear and very on top of our housing policies and make sure our housing stock stays very strong. I think it's very important.
As in diversified, a variety of housing stock?
Variety, but also the upkeep of it, the maintenance of it.
Obviously, we're headed into a comprehensive guide plan update where the city kind of maps out how they'd like land use to be in the future. Any thoughts about that? Or
Well, land use, right now we're facing a lot of, we've been built out and we're facing infilling. And as we move into that, we're looking at things that where policies are getting old. We have to look at those in some of our workshops and say, maybe this needs to be tweaked a little bit. This is 20 years ago, is not today. So things change.
Well, congratulations again. Is there anything else you wanted to say that I didn't particularly ask you?
Yes, one thing I'd like to say, what is really important in any election and any group is that the council work together, and we have been very good at that, and we have brought a lot of things to Eagan and passed a lot of good things, and we're very methodical about what we do. We don't just jump in anything, and we want to have the Eagan be the best place in the state and also in the country, and it's proven to be. I mean, we have so many things going on right now, and a lot of the stuff that helps us be successful as a team is our staff. I want to thank the staff. They're always there. They provide things to us, always give us a good detail we need, and our commissions, particularly the Planning Commission. If we didn't have them to look everything over before we do and make recommendations, we probably wouldn't make as I would say, effective policy decisions as we do.
Thanks very much.
Very important.
Okay, finally, let's take a look at who the winners were and how Eagan voted in those important congressional and state house and Senate races. And we'll go through those results now. In U.S. House District 2, open seat this year with the retirement of Representative Klein, Jason Lewis prevailed. 172,345 to 164,000 or so for challenger Angie Craig. Paula Overby, running as an independent, got about 28,000 votes there. In State House District 51A, Challenger Brad Girton, the Republican, lost to incumbent Representative Sandy Mason, back for another term. She wins with a comfortable margin there, 12,000 votes to about 8,700. In State House District 51B, that was challenger Pat Hammond with about 10,000 votes, losing to Democrat Lori Halverson, the incumbent, with about 13,000 votes. A good night for Democrats in the Eagan area. State District 51. Overall, again, DFL incumbent Senator Jim Carlson back for another term with a margin of 24,339 to Victor Lake, challenger with about 20,000 votes. Now let's take a look at State House District 52B. That was an open seat. And the Republican won there. Regina Barr besting Mary Tekach there by about a little less than 700 votes or so. In State Senate District 52, the Republican lost. Misukanis lost to Matt Klein, DFLer Matt Klein. He had about 22,000 votes and change there. Now for County Commissioner in Commissioner District 3, Tom Eagan, a longtime commissioner in Eagan and former mayor of Eagan some years ago, back with a very comfortable margin. He won by about 19,000 to 7826. County Commission 4, District 4, this is the one where Representative Joe Atkins stepped away from the state legislature only to have a Republican take his seat. He always ran as a DFLer without party designation here. He does get a county commissioner seat with about 14,960 votes over challenger Holly Jenkins. In Burnsville-Eagan School District 191, a race of 4 people trying to run for 3 spots on the school board. 2 newcomers, Darcy Schatz and Eric Miller, were elected along with current incumbent Dee Dee Courier. Hume was the lowest vote getter and was not elected. School District 197, which is in the area of Sibley High School and covers North Eagan. They had a ballot initiative, a levy, and that did get approved, a technology levy, 15,000 votes to about 8,000. That did pass. Well, that concludes our special report on Eagan Votes 2016. A momentous night nationwide, but here with a veteran city council, despite able challengers, voters seem to be content to return the incumbents who, along with the rest of the council not up for election this year, have had a track record of attracting new developments to Eagan, from Twin Cities premium outlets to the Vikings, Central Park Commons, and a new regional data center. We don't know what the issues will be in 2018, but if it is anything like this year, the results will be unpredictable. With special thanks for all the hardworking election judges who make democracy happen, and for our ETV crew, we'll see you next time.